The legend finally turns on the loser. One of the very few icons in late night exposes one of the huge embarrassing failures that's responsible for the destruction of this once profitable industry. And Jim Kimmel deserves it. Jim Kimmel deserves the humiliation. You know, in any industry, there are unwritten rules. There's an unspoken level of respect. That doesn't mean the unwritten rules are always followed. I mean, rules are made to be broken, but for the most part, these unwritten rules are followed. For example, you hardly ever hear me speak negatively about other content creators on YouTube. People in the woke media, absolutely, but I think we can all agree that they deserve the criticism. But I don't speak on other YouTubers, even if I disagree with them, because we're all going through the same thing. I respect their work because I know what it takes to do this. The sacrifice, the constant reading and research, having to stay informed with everything that's going on, the amount of time and the work that it takes to make it. I'm not talking about shorts creators who are here today and gone tomorrow. Anyone can go viral making 60-second videos of Garfield chasing a marble. I'm talking about long-form creators. People who are uploading multiple videos every day. Less than 1% of creators eclipse 100,000 subscribers. Now, if you only include those in sports commentary and political commentary, that number is probably closer to 0.5% or maybe even 0.25%. There's no sense in turning on each other because we're all going through the same thing. Plus, the mainstream media provides us with plenty of material to go after them. In the business of late night, that exclusive group is significantly smaller. There's only a handful of people in the last 6 or 7 decades who have hosted a successful show in late night television. Now, obviously, Johnny Carson has been and always will be the king of late night. But for my generation, millennials, Jay Leno was the king of late night television. Whether you loved him or hated him, maybe you preferred Letterman over Leno. Me personally, my favorite was always Conan O'Brien. But whichever host you preferred, there's no denying the fact that Jay Leno was the most successful. Jay Leno was the king of late night. 15 years ago, the entire industry turned on Jay Leno. Back in 2004, Leno announced that he would be retiring in 2009 and handing The Tonight Show over to Conan O'Brien. What most people didn't know at the time was NBC was basically pushing Leno out. If I remember correctly, Conan was threatening to move his show to another network. NBC didn't want to lose him, so they promised him The Tonight Show 5 years later. There was just one problem, one tiny problem. I know for the kids, 5 years seems like a long time, but as anyone over the age of 30 will tell you, 5 years goes by fast. By the time we reached 2009, Jay Leno wasn't ready to retire, and executives at NBC, they weren't ready to let him go. The situation rapidly developed into a flaming ass fire. NBC ended up giving Jay Leno a show that aired before the local news. It was late night and prime time. He was given all the A-list guests, while Conan was never given a chance to succeed. Long story short, less than a year later, Jay Leno's back hosting The Tonight Show while Conan O'Brien was buried in some wasteland called TBS, where his new colleagues were some doofus named Sam B and Jorge Lopez. The entire industry turned against Jay Leno, but there was one particular moment that was especially devastating. One particular moment where Jay Leno was humiliated on his own show by the insufferable Jim Kimmel. But here we are 15 years later, and Jay Leno is finally getting the last laugh. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Let's go and get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Fluffernoggin. You're probably wondering, what the hell is a Fluffernoggin? Fluffernoggin is gourmet beef jerky made right here in America. You don't have to worry about consuming foreign cows that were raised by Mahmoud halfway across the world. These cows are homegrown. You know how most beef jerky is rigid and it feels like you're chewing into a flat tire? Fluffernoggin beef jerky is soft, tender, comes in a variety of flavors. They just released their newest flavor, savory garlic butter, which is my personal favorite. I'm sure that's not surprising since you guys know how much Uncle KC loves his garlic. But if garlic isn't your thing, that's okay. Fluffernoggin is inclusive. They have flavors for everyone. If you're looking for sweet heat, you can go with pineapple serrano or mango habanero. If you're looking to sweat your ass off without having to exercise, you can go with the Carolina Reaper. And if you're more of a traditionalist, you can stick with the original flavor, which literally melts in your mouth. So elevate your snack game today by clicking the link in the description below. Use my promo code BTL55. Receive 5 bags of Fluffernoggin beef jerky for $55 today. Shortly after Jay Leno returned to hosting The Tonight Show, he did a segment with Jim Kimmel. Now, I've watched several documentaries on the battle between Leno and Conan O'Brien. I remember Letterman and Howard Stern. They were absolutely relentless. They both hated Jay Leno anyway, so the scandal, it just gave them free fuel for the flaming ass fire. I'm pretty sure this was before Jim Kimmel and Howie became besties. I don't remember Jim Kimmel attacking Jay Leno. Maybe he had a joke about it here and there, but he was nowhere near as relentless as Letterman and Howie were. I'm assuming that's why Jay Leno invited him on The Tonight Show. He thought he was an ally. I'm assuming there was a level of trust. I'm sure Leno thought they would have a crossover segment, give the audience a few laughs. Of course, the laughs would have to be generated by Jay Leno because there is nothing funny about Jim Kimmel, except, of course, when he cries over abortion. They're making abortion illegal! What will I do if my wife gets me pregnant? Unfortunately, the segment was humiliating for Jay Leno as Jim Kimmel completely took over and started roasting him on his own show. Now, I apologize for the quality or the lack of quality of this video. It looks like this clip was filmed on a disposable camera, but the audio is all that matters. Watch it for yourself.
If you got to interview anyone in the world, who would it be?
You and Conan together.
Oh, okay.
I would like to have the two of you. In fact, if Conan won't do it, I'd like just you. In fact, I'd like to do 12 at 12 with you tomorrow night.
Really?
If you would be willing to do that, because I have a lot of questions to ask you about this whole thing. I don't think people care about what I have to say.
Yeah. I agree with that. What's the best prank you ever pulled?
I told a guy that 5 years from now, I'm going to give you my show. And then when the 5 years came, I gave it to him, and then I took it back almost instantly.
Wow.
This was always my problem with Jay Leno. Maybe he's a better man than I am. Maybe he believes in turning the other cheek. But I've always thought that his silence throughout the Conan controversy made him look weak. No one, especially some woke dumbass like Jim Kimmel, no one is coming on my show to humiliate me. Jay Leno never fought back against Howard Stern, never fought back against Letterman. I have no idea why he didn't fight back against Jim Kimmel. The jokes with Jim Kimmel literally write themselves. He was a consistent last place finisher in the ratings. When Leno and Letterman were on television, Jim Kimmel was an afterthought. His ratings were circling the pooper before CNN was able to install the pooper for their own ratings. But for some reason, Jay Leno always took the high road. For some reason, Jay Leno never spoke about any of this until now. Earlier this week, Jay Leno was interviewed by Graham Besinger. He talked about the segment with Jim Kimmel and how a proud deacon at Woke United Methodist did what the deacons do best. Jim Kimmel betrayed his trust. Watch for yourself.
When Kimmel came on my show and humiliated me on my own show, I let it happen. I didn't edit it. It was my mistake. I trusted somebody. I went, I made a mistake. Okay, I should pay the price. And it's fine. It's fine. I mean, we could have edited it out of the show.
Why didn't you?
It's real. It happened. It's my mistake. That's how you learn, you know.
Did you view it as a mistake, or is that good TV?
Well, it's not good TV for me because it started a whole thing that continues to this day, really. But it's okay. It's all right. I mean, he's a comic. You do what you got to do. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't have done it, but that's okay.
When this happened 15 years ago, I did not like how Jay Leno handled it. I thought Conan O'Brien got shafted. There was no amount of boodle soother that could soothe his bruised caboose. Conan went from NBC to TBS. That's like going from women's college basketball to the WNBA dump. It's the equivalent of John Biden trading a convicted arms dealer who sold guns to forces that were used against our military. It's the equivalent of John Biden trading a career criminal for a Bob Griner. Conan tried to build a late night lineup at TBS, but when your colleagues are Sam B and Jorge Lopez, there's only one way it's going to end. Huge embarrassing failure. The late night lineup at TBS was so successful, it no longer exists. But looking back on this with 15 years of hindsight, there's a reason that Jay Leno was so hated. Now, to his credit, Conan never flamed the ass fire. Matter of fact, Conan handled the situation like a man. NBC no longer wanted him, so he moved over to TBS. Didn't work out, but at least he tried. But there's a reason that Jay Leno was hated by David Letterman, Howie Stern, and the insufferable Jimmy Kimmel. He was heavily criticized by George Lopez too, but I mean, who cares? His ratings were the size of a flea on an elephant's ass. Jay Leno was hated because he was the most successful. Howard Stern never liked anyone who was more successful than he was. By 2009, 2010, Howard Stern was on the decline, while Jay Leno came back to The Tonight Show and was #1 within a few weeks. David Letterman didn't like Leno because he was given The Tonight Show over him. I never understood why Jay Leno refused to fight back. Maybe that's just not who he is. Maybe he doesn't have it in him. Or maybe he was too busy kicking their ass in the ratings. Whatever he was doing, it worked because Jay Leno was #1 in late night for 25 years. Give me your thoughts on this. Jay Leno finally fights back against Jim Kimmel. He accuses Jim of betraying his trust, exposes Jim Kimmel as an elitist asshole. How come Jay Leno never fought back? Why'd he let Howard Stern, David Letterman tarnish his reputation, and he never really said a word? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.